What is going on, everybody? This is the Call ATM podcast. Of course, you know my name is Tay Crew. Call ATM stands for Conversations About Life and Legacy to Amplify the Message. And Christian, seems like we got, dope guest tonight.
Oh, yes. We got a special guest today.
Absolutely. Should we introduce him?
What's up, y'all? This is your boy Ortega, man. That's good.
Hey, what's going on? Let's go clap it up. All right, so guys, this is episode number 10. A lot of podcasts don't even make it this far, so I really hope you guys can appreciate the hard work and dedication it takes to make sure that we're dropping these episodes every single Tuesday. So today we have a very special episode. We are focused specifically on the mindset of a business owner. And so our boy over here, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, talk to the people about what exactly it is that you do and how you got started.
Yeah, pretty much. We started ORTEGA'S, Asada and Wings back in September 2023, selling food out of my house. And then now, we operate a food truck in Liquid Joe's, so pretty much, I have my son and the homeboy Chris and a couple other people that have been helping me out through this journey, and it's been pretty dope, man. Yeah, definitely a blessing.
That's super cool. What inspired you to get started?
Pretty much, I've had this idea for a minute, and to be real, I was let go of my previous job, and I pretty much invested my last check that they gave me into this business of getting, the equipment, the fryers, a grill, and things like that, and inventory. I've been a general manager for fast food business for 10 years. So that's pretty much where I got that, and pretty much my marketing and promoting came from me doing music and shows and things like that. So I kind of put it all together.
So I think we bypassed a couple of crazy things.
Yeah.
So you said you started selling food out of your house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
that's dedication and grind on an entirely new level. How did that work?
Pretty much, I got a website, design my menu, put together some prices, pretty much did some research on the market, of the type of food that we're selling, which was carne asada, fries, and wings.
Delicious, by the way. If you guys haven't had it, I don't know what believe me, it's so good. Okay.
Gotta try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you did some market research, and whose idea was it to let's just start trapping out of the house?
It was pretty much me, but I asked my son too, because I knew I was gonna need some help, and I told him what do you think? You want to help me out? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So like I said, just put the menu together. We had a pricing strategy and put it on our website, and the rest is history, man. And it got too big at a point where we even linked up with DoorDash and Uber Eats, and we were getting all these crazy orders. It looked like we were actually trapping.
Oh my God.
We used to have 5-6 DoorDash drivers just pulling up,
Cars coming in
Yeah.
nonstop.
So a lot of the neighbors were like, what the hell is he doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? So they saw us handing out bags of orders and stuff. So they started seeing that, what the hell? So, I live in the HOA. So they ended up kind of calling them. I had the city of Taylorsville call us. We got, the health department because of permits. It's not because of food, but it was more because permits and selling out of your house. So there's a lot of, legal things behind trying to sell food out of your house. So they pretty much shut me down, and I ended up, well, the cool thing was with the Salt Lake City health department, they shut us down, but they were also helpful too, so they're
the steps you need to take.
Pretty much, here's a list of commissary kitchens, maybe you could look into them. And we pretty much did that. We moved into a commissary kitchen for a year. We ended up closing down for a few months just because it got really rough for us at a point. And then that's when, in May of this year, that's when we moved into the Liquid Joe's.
Okay, well, you know what I'm saying. That's quite the story. So Dylan, obviously, as a business owner, you deal with a lot of adversity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like how much more shit can I possibly take, and then the shit keeps coming, right?
Yeah.
So talk to the people a little bit about those moments where you're like, man, should we keep doing this? How are we gonna pay bills?
Right.
How did you manage to keep yourself afloat during these hard times?
Oh man, I mean, pretty much when I wasn't working on the business, I was doing side jobs and things like that too. Because sometimes it's hard, the money's not gonna come out. You might have the most amazing product, but it's just iPhone, Coca-Cola, or whatever. When they first start, the product ain't out there like that, you know, like people aren't buying it, you know. The thing too was when we first started putting out our product out, people were asking, where you guys located? And some of the people that, you know, I told them, well, it's out of my house. A lot of people didn't want to buy it. Some people started trying it out, you know, like we would go from having 5 orders a week to almost 100, you know what I mean? So,
wow.
So yeah, it's just staying focused, staying dedicated, and not giving up, you know, just trying to find ways, you know. That's when I started doing the videos and promoting, you know, the food, and, you know, trying to make content and things like that. Yeah, you know, and just, you know, just tell people like come and order, you know, check out the link in the bio and things like that. So
absolutely, yeah. Because I think a lot of people think that, you know, they just come up with a great idea and it just blows up, right? Yeah. But let me tell you guys something. If a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, did it make a sound?
Yeah, that's
no,
true.
It doesn't, right? So marketing plays a big, massive part in it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You know, even with this podcast, we are constantly, you know, doing things to bring attention and awareness to the not only the different people we have on, but also, you know, to the platform itself, right? Yeah. Because what this podcast is designed to do is be a launch pad for people who, you know, maybe haven't had a chance to tell their story yet, right? So, when you talk about, you know, developing your menu, I mean, how did that all happen? Is this grandma's recipe that we're dealing with?
Nah, man, this is pretty much my own, really, like, you know, we're just experimenting and trying out things like some of it is inspiration too, you know, like right now we have our mac and cheese fries. So basically they come with, you know, the fries, the mac and cheese, the carne asada comes with sour cream, and our secret sauce, which is kind of like a spicy Nashville type of sauce, you know what I mean? So the reason how I got influenced by that is, you know, when I was training for my other job, I was in California doing that, and I would go visit all these restaurants and stuff, and I really like how they did that. But over there they were doing it with the chicken tenders and stuff, so I kind of wanted to emulate something like that, but make it with like the carne asada and stuff like that. And it's been one of our top dishes too, you know. So that's the thing with the menu. Same thing like our OG carne asada fries, you know. I call it the OG because it's like your traditional, you know, asada fries where you get everywhere, but we have our own flavor and twist to it too. Like our wok is like homemade, I guess you could say that, like homemade. Same thing with our sour cream, we add our own ingredients to it and things like that, so we have our own taste too, you know, like
enhance the natural flavors, make it a little bit more personalized to your brand.
He be liking the enhanced natural flavors type shit, you know? I don't know. But okay, so boom, all right, so you got your menu developed. Now, you had mentioned something earlier, right? You were talking about, you know, making a decision to leave your 9 to 5, right? So have you always worked in the food industry?
Oh, yeah, man. You know, like I said, for the past 10 years, I was general manager for like Wendy's, Burger King. You know, I opened the Jack in the Box that was on 2100 South and State. You know, I did that. Taco Bell. So I've been dabbling in that. And it's crazy because like I never pictured myself being in this. Like when I first started, you know, like I was just trying to look for a job because, you know, I needed a job, you know, and, you know, like I said, just develop, you know, scheduling and, you know, hiring people, training them, you know, and just running a restaurant, learning the, you know, just the business aspect of it, you know. And just one day I was like, man, you know what, you know, if I've been doing this for so long, like I know I could do it myself, you know, just because, you know, on the music side, it was the same thing, you know, like I wasn't getting booked for shows. So I started booking my own shows. So that, like I said, that's where I get all my knowledge from, is just the music side of it, the music hustle side, and just the fast food business side too, you know.
Okay. So working at all of those fast food places that we all know, what's the worst one?
I mean,
which one do you not go to now because of shit you've seen in the back kitchen?
Man, honestly, I mean, the thing is that it's not about, like, with me, it's not about like the kitchen. It's more about who runs it, you know, like the franchise that runs it. And honestly, the worst one would be like Burger King, you know.
Thank God I don't eat that shit. Oh my God, I was hoping he didn't say Taco Bell, because you know what, I'd be out of here if that was the
thinking
case.
Taco Bell the whole
That's
time.
That's why I'm like, please, dear God, don't say Taco. Okay, so boom, Burger King, and the person who ran it. What did you notice, you know, that they were doing wrong?
They pretty much would, you know, they'll just let you just, you know, they'll give you the keys and be like, there you go, you know, you you do what you got to do, and a lot of turnover with upper management, that was one of the things too. They couldn't keep people, the type of store that I was running, it was just a lot of grimy things going on there too, and just it was just crazy, man, just the way some of these restaurants were being operated. So like I said, sometimes not even like the food, it's just how things are ran, that's what makes them bad restaurants.
So you never saw nobody spit no loogies.
Oh, nah, man, nah.
Okay. All right, no dropping fries on the floor and picking them up.
Nah, man, nah.
Oh, this customer pissed me off.
Right? Okay, so right, all right.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is that, it was a lot of trial by fire with you, right? And so you were kind of forced into those different positions because upper management was constantly changing.
Yeah.
How did you kind of learn how to tell people what to do and run a store? I mean, some people don't, like authority figures, right? In general, we all know about bosses.
Yeah.
So how was that for you?
Pretty much like, I've worked my way up. I've been a crew member, shift manager, assistant, and all those titles before. So like to me, when I became a general manager, like I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm this big authority figure. I treated everybody with respect, and work with people's schedules and things like that, and treat people as people. We're not machines and things like that. So I think that was really successful for me. Also giving opportunities to people. There's when I was at Wendy's, there's like these two ladies that were working for the company for 15 years making, I don't know, like $8 an hour, and and I ended up promoting them, and giving them raises. They ended up, I mean, it's not a lot, but they ended up earning like $15-16 an hour, which is
huge difference.
Huge difference, especially when people are working that long for a company, because I saw that potential in them. And yeah, they might have like a language barrier, but I mean, they were like top workers, you know what I mean? So that's the type of person that I was at these places, like if I see people exceeding at their job, I'll tell my boss, hey, I want to, promote this person and things like that, just giving opportunities. And that's what strengthened my operations too, is because people saw that I was giving them raises, I was promoting them and things like that, so
yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine what some of the people have to go through in this country, like it's challenging, especially if you're here from somewhere else, right? Because even $8 for them is that's so much more than they'd be getting back in China, whatever other country they're from, right? So so that's really how you learned how to navigate. Are you bilingual?
Oh, yeah, I'm bilingual. So that was kind of easy for me to, especially when it comes to training. We always get like limited time offers. So there's always something new coming up, or things are changing, procedures are changing, or, food safety and things like that. So you got to be able to kind of be bilingual and just kind of, show them how to do it. Because if there's that barrier, it's going to be hard to communicate that message,
Yeah, and the food industry business is no joke, I mean, it's really hard work to do. I mean, I obviously I look back in the kitchens all the time, and I see people that are on their feet all day long, sometimes working multiple shifts, and so I think that it's a very underrepresented portion of the population, and so with the employees that you have now, what does that hiring process look like? What are you looking for in an employee?
So honestly, like I'm looking for people that are coachable, because you could have 20, 30, 50 years of experience, but I kind of feel like there's always something new to learn too. So you got to be coachable. I would say just willing to put in the work, and, like with us, since we're independent, you got to be, willing to, build the business with us too at the same time. Cause that's what we're doing.
Different hats.
Yeah, exactly. Cause that's basically what it is, like we're still building. So people are, if you're going to be working for me, you got to understand like, yeah, we're still building, this isn't McDonald's that serves 1 billion customers a year, you know what I mean? So
the McDonald's business model is not food, right? It's real estate.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Which is completely wild, right? But that's something that a lot of people don't understand, is that a lot of times you think that a company's business model is one thing and it's completely different. So your business model, is it just strictly food, or are you promoting a brand?
Honestly, it's more promoting the brand, because I feel like that's more powerful, like people remember it, like go back to McDonald's, the arches, you know, like you see the arches, you already know it's McDonald's, you know, just things like that. I feel like promoting your brand is more important because you want people to remember what they ate. You know, you could have the best food, carne asada, fries, best chicken wings, but if people don't remember that name, how they're gonna go back to, you know, ordering your food again. So I kind of feel like that's really important.
Okay. Now, are you mainly the one cooking? Like, do you cook at all?
Yeah, like at the moment I was cooking, do most of the cooking, and then now I kind of passed it down to my son and you know, my homeboy Chris. They'll take turns cooking on some days. You know, sometimes I jump in and start cooking once it starts getting busy too, just because, you know, I still like to be hands-on, and it's just natural for me to just jump in and start helping out in the kitchen and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and I'm sure you know the wife appreciates that at the same time, right? Too. You know, he knows his way around the kitchen.
Yeah.
Me, I can't cook for shit, bro. I'm telling you right now. I've been eating the same thing as a bachelor for a long time now. I need, yo, ladies, man, help a brother out. You know what time it is. So, that's wild. So, okay. Now, when you are, I guess, what's the craziest amount of customers that you've ever had? Have you ever had, like, a customer do some wild shit?
Nah, man, you know, it's crazy because, like, when I was working at these other fast food places, we always get those customers that are always, you know, either complaining, being a Karen and stuff. But luckily, and I'm thankful for it, like a lot of our customers are always cool. You know, they come in, oh, hey, what's up? I seen you on TikTok or Instagram, or they're past customers. Oh, hey, you know, some of them we already know their names. You know what I mean? So just things like that. So everyone's really cool. You know, they're very understanding. You know, sometimes we get backed up because we cook everything fresh. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer than usual. You know, especially when we have orders piled up, and a lot of people are hella cool. You're like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just, you know, hang out in my car now that it's cold, or they'll just kick it and whatnot. So yeah, man, a lot of people are really cool, very supportive. So yeah, man, I'm surprised.
No customers crashing out or anything like
man,
that. Have you ever had an employee that's something crazy? You're like, bro, I can't believe you just did that. I gotta let you go.
Right? Nah, man. Well, not at the food truck, but you know, like I had to in other places where they try to scrap with the customer and things like that.
Yo, all right, story time, let's go. All right, run it back. What? So, time out. An employee tried to fight a customer? Tell me it wasn't at Burger King.
Nah, man, it was actually at Wendy's. So.
He said, "You like Wendy's?
Yeah.
Wendy's does go on you,
right?" Yeah. He was giving out that 4 for 4, you know.
Oh man.
You want a 4-piece right
Yeah,
now?
for reals. Yeah, man, it was just at the drive-thru, you know. I think the customer said something rude to one of my employees, and you know, he got mad, but it was kind of low-key funny, you know, because you know, they're arguing whatever, and then the guy took off, and then tell me why this fool starts running out the door, you know, trying to chase
the customer down.
I'm like, what the hell?
What?
Yeah.
Yo.
No.
Yeah, man.
He's already gone. He ain't even fucking with you no more.
Right? And he still goes trying to chase someone. I was like, bro, calm down. You got to calm down. He's like, sorry, Mike. Sorry. Like, nah, you good, man. Just calm down, you know. So, you know, some people have short tempers, you know, they try to the best, but sometimes, you know how customers are. They like to, like, egg you on and stuff
push
like
buttons
that.
And shit.
Push buttons. So, you know, low key, I had that problem with him too, but I always try to calm him down. Like, yo, bro, calm down. Just because, you know, I know, you know, he was a good worker for me and stuff, and you know, I understand, you know, so I'll just be like, calm down, bro, calm down, go to the back real quick, you know, and yeah.
I mean, you never know what somebody's going through, right? And I mean, you say the wrong thing, you never know if it's somebody's right day. Today is your motherfucking day. You know, you got the right one today. So that's wild. So all right, so he chases the customer down, or attempts to, right?
Yeah.
Then he comes back and you allow him to stay working for you?
Yeah, I just tell him to, you know, just chill out for a minute, go to the back, get a drink, and
was this a younger guy?
Nah, he's actually older.
Yeah.
Said back in the day I would have slapped the shit out of him for that.
Yeah, man.
You had an older employee that decided that it was that time, right? That's something that I feel like a lot of men really need to understand is, like, you know, having that self-control is a big part of, having financial success, especially in the business world, because customers, they're always right, especially in the food industry. And, it's just, you can definitely see a reason why there are certain individuals that excel beyond, every obstacle. And then there's other people who stay very stagnant or never progress to their full potential. How do you feel about, people who started from the bottom and now they're billionaires? Do you think that billionaires shouldn't exist?
I mean, if they work hard for it, then why not? That's the way I see it. I'm pretty sure, like, some of them might be born into it and some of them not, so it just depends, really, like, depends on if they earned it or not, that's just how it is, like, I mean, some people might hit the jackpot or whatever, and that's cool, but like you said, billionaires, I mean, if they good, like, sometimes they do good stuff too in return, some of them might not. So it just depends on the individual, really, But
well, I mean, my personal opinion on this is, because there's also that huge controversy right now that's happening with Starbucks, where the labor unions are starting to get involved, and they're demanding that Starbucks pays their employees, like $20 or $30 an hour, right? And mind you, Starbucks is not a career for the average person, just like McDonald's would, and just like Burger King, right? I mean, these are landing points where you work here for a second till you're back on your feet, and then you develop, you go into another career, start a business. But a lot of people are giving the CEO a really hard time right now, and this man started from nothing. Like, federal subsidized housing. His parents never, ever, ever owned their own home. And he started from one single coffee shop, and because of his mindset and his due diligence, ended up having the giant franchise like Starbucks, right? And so my whole thing is that we live in a capitalist society, right? Thank God, because if we lived in a communist or a socialist government, can you guys imagine?
Oh no.
Can you guys imagine? Nobody would want to work, right? Because if everybody is getting freaking, let's just say a magic number. Let's say we're all getting $50 an hour, right? I'm only going to do so much work. I'm never going to be able to progress beyond that point.
Exactly.
And so, I think that that's absolutely amazing about, being in capitalism, is being able to start something from nothing and take it to the moon. And so the reason I bring all this up to you is I'm wondering, where do you see your business progressing in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
I mean, honestly, like, I'm looking into franchising. I think that's a great opportunity too, like, to be able to expand, look for different places, whether they could be our own store or it could be, inside somebody's, bar, kitchen, or food trucks, just wherever there's an opportunity to expand. Like, I want to be able to do that, and like I said, no place big or small. I'm willing to take that. If the opportunity's there to, build it, then that's what I'm looking for, So just definitely, just doing that. Maybe even expand back. I'm from California, so maybe even, expand over there too,
Yeah. How long have you lived in Utah?
17 years, man.
17 years. So from California, how did you end up here?
Pretty much at the time, I was 18, 19. I had my first son, which he's the one that's helping me now. He was a baby, you know what I mean? So I first moved here, with my wife at the time. I'm separated, but I have my girlfriend now.
Okay.
But so pretty much we moved over here because my sister had moved here a few years prior, and it's kind of funny because her and her husband, they helped open up a restaurant out here, out in South Jordan. So we would come and, we'll come and visit, and we liked it. So yeah, we pretty much came here, and, I told my girl at the time, like, if it doesn't work, we could always move back, but, let's give it a shot. And, ever since then we've been here, so, she moved back I have 3 kids. So she moved back, to California and stuff, but me and my son, we're still here. But I like it, man. Like, I like Utah. It gave, if it wasn't for me moving here, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now,
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of dope.
Yeah, I think it's a lot better of an environment because, I was in the music business as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was a wild ride, but I've, had a lot of experiences in California, and there's a massive homeless population in California, and it's sad to see because, it just goes to show you that in this country you can be the richest of the rich, but you can also be the poorest of the poor. And for a lot of people, that decision is you're one paycheck away from that, right?
Right.
And so how would you motivate, somebody to take the leap from staying at their 9 to 5 where they're stagnant into actually believing in themselves enough to, you know,
Start their own thing.
yeah, like capitalize off of their talents.
Yeah, man. Just be ready to know what the risks are. You know, it's either, you know, you make it or you don't. You know, and just understanding those, I wouldn't say consequences, but they're the options. You know, of starting a business, because you know there's been businesses that close every year. You know, you always hear this business been open for 50 years, 100 years, and they shut down. You know, things like that, or not even a year. Maybe people try to open up for a few weeks and they see that, you know, it's not what it is. You know what, you know, they see other people's results and think their results the same. You know, so you got to keep that mindset. Like, you can't focus on what other people are doing because they had their way of doing it. Not everybody's way is going to work for you. You got to find your way on how to do it.
Yeah,
so that's pretty much.
That's why we like to focus on mindset here, because there is no one size fits all business plan that's going to work for everybody. We can copy and paste it. If there was, please let me know. Right?
There's a million ways to become a millionaire.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And so, do you see yourself maybe opening any other businesses, or do you think this is pretty much your niche where you're going to stay?
I mean, I do want to venture out in like the nightclub scene. You know, I always wanted to do something like that. You know, so maybe something like that in that nature where, you know, I could open up a nightclub and serve my food too, and, you know, have a stage performances and things like that. So yeah, that's something that I always, you know, dreamed about, you know.
Okay, that's fantastic. You know, in the nightclub business, there's a lot of risks.
Yeah,
there's a lot of risks. You know, and I mean, we're out in the club scene quite often, and you know, we see some shit, bruh. You know? But yeah, that's amazing. I mean, what are the steps that you would, you know, need to follow in order to achieve a goal like that?
Just pretty much have the capital for it. You know, I kind of feel like that's important. You know, like if your credit's not that great, try to fix it. You know, like my credit isn't great, so I'm trying to fix it. You know, just run your business. Like, don't just, like me right now, like, I have my business, and then I don't want to like start another one right away. I got to make sure the one that I'm focusing on first is right, you know, financially, it's healthy, you know, like, you know, it's profiting and, you know, still building, you know, before I try to venture out. Because once I start venturing out on something else, you know, what if both things don't end up working out, or one thing does or doesn't, you know what I mean? So just trying to stay organized and, you know, just make sure that, you know, the numbers are right, you know, honestly.
Well, I mean, you hit a good spot. So when we talk about profiting in a business, you know, how are you making sure that your food is always profitable? Where are you getting your products from? How does that whole process work out, and how'd you discover that?
Pretty much the whole process too is like, especially in the food industry, like your big two controllables are always going to be your food costs and your labor. You know, those are the two big things that you can't control. You can't control your rent, the light. You know, with us at the food truck, you know, we got to buy propane no matter what. You know what I mean? So we have to have it. So these are just things that we can't control, but they're part of the expenses that we have. So pretty much food costs is, you know, portioning. Make sure, like me, I don't want to underportion people, but I want to give them the right amount too. You know, I don't, because that's gonna, you know,
that'll bring people back.
Yeah, it'll bring people back, but it's too, like, you want to be fair too. You know, like, you don't want to give them a big 10-pound plate and only sell it for like $10, because then that's pretty much.
Yeah, me, I'm counting the fries, bro. I'm saying everybody gets 6 fries, man.
6 fries,
you know?
That's it.
Yeah. You don't want me to have a food truck, bro.
Right.
But yeah, okay. How long did it take you to figure out which portions were the most profitable?
Pretty much, I just kind of, you know, it's just like, it just depends on the quality, you know, like our meats and everything too, you know. There's always different prices, you know, so I try to like even everything out as far as pricing for different meats, even though like one costs more than the other, you know. So I just kind of feel like if I even it out, it'll pretty much, like, the profit will be there. And like I said, it's just, you know, just portioning the right amount. Like, if you're selling something for, like, for example, our medium plate, it's like $10, you know. Like, if you want to sell something for $10, then you want to make sure that value is there, you know. It's, you know, you don't want to sell like a little small square bucks for box
Little
for,
sampler.
yeah, a little sampler for $10. You'd be like, what the hell, like,
Yeah.
like I said, you want to make sure that you're giving a good portion, good quality. You also have a fair price to it too.
Okay.
Just yeah.
So, so what are the profit margins like on a $10 plate of food?
I would say, so on ours is about, so 10. So for us, it costs us about like $6 to make that. So I would say like 40%.
Okay, got you. And that's including like plates,
Yeah.
napkins, spoons, forks, whatever they might need to eat the product. Okay, absolutely. Are you guys offering drinks as well?
Yeah, we sell soda cans for now.
You guys are members at Costco or freaking what is the other one? Sam's Club.
Club. Yeah, pretty much, and we just buy it in bulk. So yeah, it's easier that way.
Yeah. Man, I can't. You don't let me inside of no freaking Costco, bro. I see Sprite and my whole cart's filled. Everybody's looking at me crazy. So that's fantastic, bro. So, and you had also mentioned, your son is helping you with this. Can you explain to the people how important it is for you to show not only your family but obviously your son the importance of being a business owner?
Yeah, man, it's been kind of crazy, man. Like I just see him, and I'm like really proud of how far he has gone as well, because the thing is with him, he's never had any type of work experience but our business, you know what I mean? So like for me to be able to develop my son, no work experience, to practically run the business with me, it's crazy, man. It's a blessing, man. I still can't believe it, it's like, wow, like, man, like this kid, like he still has a lot of learning to do, but the things that he has accomplished, it's pretty amazing. Like he knows, like for example, like I taught him how to cook everything. He knows cashiering, he knows inventory. Like he pretty much, like every night we do our inventory, and he sees what we need to get, when we have to like re-up and stuff. So like he goes and gets the inventory, brings it. He knows how to prep. He knows how to do the guac, our guacamole sauce, because I taught him how to do it. All the preparation. Basically, if something would have happened to me, he'll be able to run it, bro. Like that's the way I see it. Or if something, like I said, like something happened to me, like he'll be able to run it, bro. Like I know he could. Like,
that's such a blessing, and I feel
man.
like as a father, which unfortunately I'm not yet, but I'd imagine that would be a moment where I would always want to give my son every opportunity that I never had, right? And it seems like the value that you've given him is worth more than a college degree. I mean, who wants to listen to a teacher talk about and teach you about something they've never actually done, right? And so, I just think that's amazing. Where do you see him eventually taking over this side, and then you branching out?
I mean, to be honest, like he's into like he wants to be a mechanic. You know what I mean? So I just tell him, you do whatever you want to do. Like I'm not gonna stop you. So I mean, for now, I see him helping me run the business, but I also see him venturing out on his own, because I really rather have him, do what he loves than. I know he likes working with me, but everyone has their own passion too, So I told him, man, we're gonna be like Victor's Tires. We're gonna have our own mechanic shop and have a little restaurant on the side,
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, so we just laugh about it. But yeah, man, like I mean, if he still wants to stick around and do the food business thing, then that's cool. If not, then I also respect that. Like that's the thing too. You don't want to force your kids to do something they don't want to do and end up hating it, and then it affects the business too. It's like a employee that gets a job and doesn't like it, and
just there for the check,
just there for the check, whatever,
doesn't even clean up afterwards. Have you seen any crazy stories where like people are not cleaning up the kitchens, like you've seen Hell's Kitchen or like Kitchen Nightmares? They walk in, or Bar Rescue, and like everything's just filthy because the employees they don't care. They're just there for the check. They're not deep cleaning everything. Have you ever seen any of those at the places you worked at or anything like that?
Honestly, I haven't. Thankfully, like there's always like, not every store is always going to be clean. You know what I mean? But it's always like details, like maybe the walls, or the floors need to be scrubbed a little bit better. Or the shelves need to be wiped down, but nothing to the point where it's like, damn, we're going to get shut down type of deal.
So you've never seen mice?
Nah, man.
gotta tell us now, because listen, man, you might save a life. All right,
what place should we not visit?
Well, it's fixed now, but at the time, it wasn't inside the store, you know. So there's actual mice. So the dumpster area, they had like a bunch of mice there because they ended up. So it was nothing but dirt. So these mice basically they burrowed themselves underneath like where the trashes area was at. So, you know, they saw that food was always there. So they were always around and stuff. You know what I mean? So it was kind of embarrassing because it was like right next to our drive-thru. Sometimes people will pull up and they'll be like, oh, there's mice out here. I'm like, oh, like, yeah, sorry about that.
They're pulling up on the drive-thru, ordering their food. They look over to the right and they see a fucking rat just crawling around and shit.
And there wasn't no little, you know, baby mouse. They were like
chihuahuas, the ratatouilles, man. Taking a break from inside the kitchen to go. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, and then they ended up calling the exterminator, and they went and, you know, took care of it and stuff. But yeah, man, thankfully they weren't coming inside the restaurant, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but still, even having them there by the dumpster area was like kind of embarrassing, you know.
Makes a bad look on the whole establishment.
Yeah, especially us that we have to be there, you know.
Shit. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about branding. What steps do you think that a business owner needs? Let me just say it in a different way. How much of your time do you think should be focused on branding versus actually operating the business? Branding and marketing.
I would say operations is number one, you know, because, you know, that's where you're serving the product, you know. You want whatever you're marketing or you're branding and you're saying, oh, we got the best this, we got the best that. And if you're giving out something that's mediocre, it's like, you know, why are you doing all this branding and marketing when your product isn't what it is, you know? So I feel like operations is always going to be number one because that's how, you know, people come, they'd be like, oh, okay, it's like what they said on the commercial or on our TikTok or Instagram, you know, the food looks good and it also tastes good, you know. You want to give them that taste, you know, like if the food tastes good as it looks, then, you know, that's really important, you know. That it comes to it, you know. Branding, I'm not too worried too much about it, but that's something that you want to do in the beginning stages, you know. So how I came up with Ortega's Asada and Wings, I was doing research. You know, you want to give a name that is what you're selling. You know what I mean? It's like saying, I don't know, like if you come up with a name, you want to make sure that it matches what you're selling. You know, like for example, Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. You know, they're known for selling chicken and waffles, you know.
Am I the only one that don't like chicken and waffles?
I love chicken and waffles.
I mean, I'm like, it's the combination of the chicken with the waffles. To me, I understand why it's such a commodity, but I'm not eating that shit.
You'd be surprised. You'd love it. It's really good.
Listen, I like Ruth Chris, okay? I like STK, all right? I'm not eating no Roscoe's chicken and waffles, my dude. Okay. Yeah, my bad if you see this. I mean, hey, we'll sponsor you, but you know, just the combination of it, I just feel like doesn't work well with my palate. I'm not downplaying people that like that, of course, but you know.
But that's pretty much the concept of it. Is, you know, you want to. You know, that's what I say, it's Asada and Wings. You know, we sell carne asada fries. You know, we sell wings. You know, so people already know what they're gonna buy here. You know, that's why I'm called it Ortega's Asada and Wings. So it's kind of like a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles type of name. You know what I mean? So, you know, you can't say, I don't know. I can't think of any examples, but basically you can't name something and it's like doesn't go with what you're selling. You know what I mean?
So you come up with the name, right? Yeah. How do you manage to get the logo done, the trademarking done, all of that stuff?
Pretty much with trademark, you just go online and kind of pay, like, I think it's like $200, you know, to do it, you know, file it with the state or something like that, you know, and then pretty much with the logo, I pretty much, you know, I look for a graphic designer, and you just want to make sure that, you know, when you get your logos done, you know, they don't end up owning owning your logo type deal, you know, because that's really important too, you know, like you want to make sure.
ChatGPT solved all that shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
By graphic designers, I can make a few types and have 6 different logos, but that's wild. So, did one of them try you?
Nah, man.
Okay, all right. Nobody tries the top G over here. All right, I like that. And so, what was that? How many like samples did you go through before you decided like this is the logo?
I mean, I didn't really go through a lot, you know. I just kind of like told them, hey, I need a logo that you know represents, you know, what I'm trying to sell. And I mean, they gave me like 3 or 4 samples, honestly, and then I just chose the one that's, you know, stood out, which was the one with my name on it, with the fire symbol on the top, and, you know, Asada and wings with the little forks on the side, you know. So I thought that was cool, and that's the Salt Lake City in the bottom too. I just kind of feel like that's important too, you know, like you don't want to advertise, you know, your food business that's locally owned to somebody that's in another state or things like that, you know.
All right, man. So you know what I'm saying? This is our first day meeting, right?
Yeah.
All right, but I like you, man. So listen, I'm going to give you $1 million marketing idea, okay? That's what I'm known for. Yeah. So, do you remember bikini cuts?
Yeah, I remember that.
All right, you remember that shit, right? Do you remember their haircuts?
Hell
no, right? No. We just remember what the girl looked like, right? Hey, I'm telling you, bro, you slide a couple models behind that countertop, you know, and it's bikinis. Oh, bro, your line is across the street, right?
What the hell?
They don't even need the food. They just
we're there for the bikinis. Bikini and wings.
Yeah, so, I mean, have you ever thought about putting girls in bikinis in your food truck?
Nah, man. I know it's a good idea, but I mean,
be there 7 days a week.
For real. Yeah, man, it's a good idea though.
I know a couple. Yeah, you just let me know. I slide them over. We did a little video at a car wash. Let's just say, bro, I guess that's a bad representation of it. It was, let's just say the business was offering a car wash and we went fishing. You know, I had a couple dollar bills and I was throwing them and I was catching some fish. It's a pretty funny video. You should check it out. But long story short, bro, I've seen how good of a marketing tactic, you know, when you have beautiful women doing anything, it's like a cheat code to success. It's almost messed up.
Well, it's kind of like the Carl's Jr. commercials back in the days, you know. I don't know if you guys remember that with the girls all.
Doing the car wash and then eating the cheeseburger.
And the sauces are all dripping all over their body and stuff, you know, like.
That's fire. Bring back the fire commercials, man. What are we even doing? Like, advertising took a dip because, you know, that's something you watch and you might get in trouble by the wife. You know, you're like, hey, why are you looking at the Carl's?
Why are you only hiring this demographic here? Well, you at work a lot lately.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I thought you had today off.
I just had to handle some business.
Like, hey, we don't take days off, okay? My employees need me. So just, you know, me, this is why I obviously don't own a food truck, because, bro, I'd be wilding now. I'd be single the rest of my life. I'd be moving. So, all right. So, now, you guys are open 7 days a week?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, what is that like, man? I mean, how many hours do you think you're putting in on this business?
I would say so pretty much we split it between all 3 of us, because some days we open like we open at 6. You know,
in the morning?
No, 6 p.m.
Oh.
You know, 6 p.m. to 11. Okay. Oh no, man. I probably would have been sleeping right now, man. Yeah. So, but yeah, pretty much from 6 to 11, and then towards the weekend, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is, you know, we open at 3. So. Usually we're like a 2-man crew all the time. So, yeah, I would say like 40, 50 hours a week, you know. So, it's not bad, you know. Like my other like my son and, you know, my other crew, I only give them like 4 days to work, you know, because I don't want to like overwork them either too, you know. So, yeah, I pretty much fill in or they'll fill in. So, yeah.
I mean, every time I pass a food truck, there's always mad customers out there, bro. Like, it is like, it's a great business model. You're not dealing with freaking property taxes, all sorts of crazy shit, you know, light bills, whatever else you might deal with. So, what is it like when you find a location? How does that talk with like the owner of the lot go? Like, how do you create that synergy between you and other business owners?
Pretty much is like with us in Liquid Joe's, we pretty much, you know, they like the thing with the owner, he knew my experience too, so he already like.
He knew he was a top G. Yeah, right? Yeah,
yeah. He's came to my restaurant before, like the ones that I was running before, and he saw like, oh, you work here? I'm like, yeah, this is my store, you know. So it was like, okay, cool, you know. So he knew that I had that experience, and you know, he saw too, like on social media how well we were doing and everything. So that's why he reached out to me and gave me, you know, that opportunity. So it's like, yeah, let's do it, you know. So I think just having good relations with, you know, it could be a lot owner or the owner of, you know, wherever you're posting up at, you know, you want to keep that, you know, professionalism with them, because, you know, what if your business does really well and then, you know, the owner doesn't want to work with you just because you guys clash or things like that, you know. So you want to always keep it professional.
Have you had any problems like that so far or no?
Not where we at, but previous location, yeah, definitely, man. Especially with like tenants too, like they see that you were doing well, you know. We're throwing events too there too, where we had live performances and things like that, and the other tenants didn't like that, so they would like complain to the owner.
Pocket watching type
yes,
shit? Dang,
yeah,
man.
pocket watching too.
These guys doing too much over here.
Yeah,
it's like, man, they're making too much money.
Yeah,
the fuck?
I want some of that.
Yeah. I mean, something like that, but I mean, in their eyes, they thought we were making a whole lot of money or whatever. Or you know, there'll be like some guy there that was always he would just go there just to prep, and he'll be like always like watching, you know, like you said, pocket watching, man. And it's like, it's crazy, man. Like, you know, there's definitely a taco spot there, a taco cart that we were really cool with, though. You know, like that was like the only one out of everybody else. Everybody else was like on some hater, you know. But we try to include them. We try to like be cool with them, but I don't know.
They just see you as competition.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And like I'm that type of person that I try to get along with everybody. Like I said, building relationships and being cool with everybody. And because, you know, once all that drama starts, you know, your environment's it's gonna be toxic, you know.
You don't feel happy to go to work and shit like that. You're like, oh, I got beef with that guy over there across the street.
That's what I think is so important, everybody. You know, not burning any bridges, making sure your relationships are healthy. But I'll be honest with you, you know, I am the best friend that you could ever have. I'm also the worst enemy.
Yeah.
Because once you cross that line, you know what I'm saying, it's wartime, right? And, you know, obviously this is how you feed your family. And so I can understand how a conflict like that could be insane. I mean, have you ever read The Art of War?
Nah, man. Honestly, I haven't.
All right, put that on the Christmas list.
Right, there you go.
We'll send that over.
Yeah. So, all right. So now you're in a fantastic location. You know, obviously, Liquid Joe's is a household name out here in Utah.
Yeah.
You know, and shout out. Yeah, I think Young Blue is going there soon, right?
Yeah. This Friday.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big night for you guys. Yeah. Yeah. I actually met him a couple of times. I think it was in Atlanta. But he's dope. He's really, really dope. Yeah. Are you guys excited? That's going to be obviously a big show for you guys, right?
Definitely. So. Yeah, man. We're excited for it. You know, like that's what I like about Liquid Joe's. They have a lot of shows and stuff, so we're always ready for them. And people come and, you know, they try the food. And like before, like now everyone comes and tries the food, you know, and buys the food because they already know, you know, they know us and stuff. In the beginning, it was cool because in the beginning we'll get like 1, 2, 3 people. And then once they go inside the club, they start talking about how good the food is, and then we'll start having like a bunch of people start coming. Now it's like everybody knows what we sell and stuff, and everybody like enjoys it. So it's kind of a blessing, you know, because I was kind of stressing out in the beginning because like they'll have a big show, but people wouldn't like buy food and stuff.
Bikini girls, I'm telling you, science. I'm telling you, that solves. It literally solves every problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can even get the logos. Yeah, you put the logos on there, man. Oh my god. You know, that's how it worked at one of the what is it called? One of the apartments that I lived at.
Okay.
Yo, man, I got an apartment there just because the girl at the front door. I'm trying to see you every day. Hello, you know. So why you working here, baby? Like, But yeah, so all right. So what is the sort of prep that goes in when you know you're gonna have a big night, right? Are you showing up early, leaving late? And plus, when people drink, the first thing you want is some carne asada fries. Let's be honest. I mean, beer and carne asada, that goes together. Do you guys sell alcohol as well?
Unfortunately, we don't. But some people asked us too, like, "Oh, you guys sell beer or anything?" Like, nah. I was like, "Oh, okay." I just thought I asked, but it would be a good idea too. It'll help with their sales too. But yeah.
You know, a big thing out here in Utah, which a lot of people don't really understand, is there's only a certain amount of liquor licenses that you can have.
Yeah.
And those liquor licenses are damn near a business in themselves. It is so incredibly expensive to not just get that license, but also like maintain it. There's mad laws that you have to follow. What are some of the other crazy food laws in Utah that you've noticed that are like things that there's just no negotiation on?
Well, if you run a food truck, you have to have a commissary kitchen agreement. So pretty much you're not allowed to prep food inside your food truck. Like you could cook it and sell it, but you can't prep it inside the food truck. So that's one of the things that are non-negotiable, especially like when you get licensed, when the health department comes, they ask for a contract from the commissary kitchen. So yeah.
What is a commissary kitchen, by the way?
So pretty much a commissary kitchen is a commercial kitchen where food trucks come and they prep food for their food trucks. So they'll go into that kitchen, they prep the food, and then they just load it into their food truck. And that's pretty much it.
Where you marinate it, put all your ingredients.
Marinate, or your sauces or whatever, or pre-cook. A lot of food trucks, they pre-cook their food and stuff, so they kind of do that. Or catering too, you have to have an agreement too, because you can't prep anything at home, So if you're running a catering business, food truck, things like that, you have to have a commissary agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's some good knowledge. So, okay, let's say that there's some young gunner out there, right? And he wants to start a food truck, right? What is going to be what's his first step?
Man, hit me up.
Hey, see, that's marketing right there. There you go. You offer a mentorship program?
Oh man, no, I'm like a partnership program.
Okay.
He wants to if he doesn't have an idea or anything like that, anybody out there, just hit me up. We could partner up, and I'll show you the ropes.
Okay. Got you. And so, how long do you think it takes somebody to go from 0 to 100? Meaning, I know nothing about the food truck industry to now I'm somebody like you where I can operate my own successful business.
I would say about 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
That's it?
I would say 6 months, because you want to. You want to read everything that you need to learn how to get licensed, to get the license to operate, and then you got to give yourself the experience. So you got to pretty much sell the food. And, what I recommend is having that knowledge before starting that type of business, because it might look glamorous on Instagram and TikTok, but it really isn't. It's a lot of work behind it. You got to know how to, run a register, and like I said, your inventory, you got to know how much you're buying, how much you're selling every week, So it just depends, like me, I spend about $1,300 every week on food itself, not just food, but plates and everything else, food and paper, you know. So if I know how much I'm gonna sell for that week, you got to be able to know that too, because you don't want to have a bunch of food and then it goes bad, and you don't want to sell food like that, In the beginning stages, when I moved into Liquid Joe's, I had to throw away food, because we were kind of slow, But then once it started picking up, now it's consistent, I don't have to worry about, throwing away anything. We buy our meat, for example, and our wings, they're always fresh. Our wings, we run out more. We sell about.
Do you guys kill your own chickens?
Oh, no.
No. Okay. I just want. I don't know.
I'm in the backyard.
I got a chicken coop in the back. No, man. We sell a lot of wings, man. So, yeah, we go through about, I would say, 800 wings a week,
Yeah,
800
a lot of black
wings.
people coming to y'all's kitchen.
Honestly,
No,
a lot of surprisingly, a lot of Hispanics are our majority is Hispanics, So
I didn't know they fuck with chicken wings like that. I might look Mexican, but I'm half black, so I can say that. I know how my people get down with the chicken wings, man.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's say that Tay which is me, right? I want to start a business. You can go 50-50 on Tay's Tacos with the bikini girls behind it. I got you, man. We might pull 100 G's a week. I'm telling you. Hey, shit.
Let's do it.
So what would my startup cost be? Let's say I really wanted to do Tay's Tacos, right? How much do you think like the trailer's gonna cost, the propane, all of the stuff in there? What do you think that sort of down deposit would be?
I mean, if you got like, it all depends too. Like, if you got the credit, you could get a trailer like you're getting a car out dealership. You know, you just gotta have
like 50 grand.
Yeah, they usually cost between 30 to 50. You know, just depending on the size and everything like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man.
I'll let you run the kitchen.
I'll find somebody to run the kitchen.
You know, outright. You know, if you want to buy it outright, that's how much it's gonna cost. You know, like propane, it just depends. You know, on your operation hours. Like us, we spend about, I'm gonna say $125 every week on propane. You know, so yeah, the propane and then your inventory costs. So it's gonna be tricky, you know, because you're gonna barely start out. I honestly would start minimum, you know, like you don't want to buy 3 months worth of inventory because it's gonna rot, you know. So even if you have to be like, sorry, I sold out, I'd rather be safe than sorry, you know, because it's money you can't get back, you know what I mean? So inventory, I would say to start off, I would say a good 500, you know, that's with plates and everything else, you know. Like,
you saying $500?
I would, honestly, if you're gonna barely start off, you know, people don't know, you know what I mean, unless you're buying a McDonald's and it's a whole different, you know.
Okay.
Because that's how I started, you know, like I pretty much invested like $500 in inventory, and yeah, man.
So I hope you guys are paying attention, right? You can get started with something like this for relatively cheap, right? It's one of the most cost-effective businesses to get into. Plus, you're mobile, which means you're not really locked down to a certain location.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds pretty amazing, right? I mean, and this is something that where you don't do anything else other than operate the food truck, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Boom. Replaced his 9 to 5. Now he's a business owner. That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so for the last little bit of this pod, you know, I just feel like it's relative. We like to discuss, you know, life and legacy, right? And so how do you want to be remembered?
I mean, just somebody who, you know, who's a go-getter, who never gave up. Somebody who's, you know, always on the move, always on the grind. You know, I'm a hustler, you know, pretty much. You know, I could have done other things, but I decided not to, and, you know, try to stay legit, do something legit.
Yeah, because, I mean, gang life in California is pretty crazy. What area did you grow up in, by the way?
Oh, in South Central, man. Yeah.
South Central. So you were around the Crips, the Bloods. Yeah. Hold on one second. That's my timer. So you were around, like, the Crips, the Bloods, you know, essays. You know, you had all of those influences. What kept you out of the street life?
My son, you know, like, I saw that I wasn't doing well, so I just kind of, you know, wanted to do something better for him, you know. So me just, you know, stepping back and not just thinking for myself and thinking about my son, I think that was like, you know, pivotal moment in my life, you know, because if I wouldn't have thought about him and his future and just said, fuck it, I'm going to do what I'm doing, you know, I don't think I would have gone far, man. You know what I mean? So he kind of saved me in a way, type of deal, you know. So
and it sounds like you had him pretty young, right?
Yeah, man. I was 18, gonna be 19, you know. So yeah, wow. Yeah, man.
That's a scary feeling to all of a sudden go from only worrying about yourself to now you have another person's mouth that you know you have to feed, and I mean that's just insane. And so South Central is no joke for the people that don't know. I mean, I know I'm sure you've seen a lot of crazy stuff growing up. Do you still have family that's out there?
Yeah, man. My sister actually owns a bakery out there. It's actually in Huntington Park, which is pretty much next to South Central. You know, it's called Butterfly Cake Shop. Like, she does custom, you know, cakes and everything. She's pretty known out there too. So yeah, man, I have them. I got all my homies that I grew up with, and you know, people I went to school with that still know me and things like that. So yeah, man.
Do you have a lot of like friends that went the other way?
Oh yeah, definitely. Got people that are no longer here. You know, homies that got deported. You know, people that are in and out of jail. Things like that. You know what I mean? So, and it's kind of crazy, you know, because when we were kids growing up, you didn't see them doing that. You know, we're just kids, you know, growing up in school and stuff. And then once, you know, high school or out of high school comes, that's, you know, people take different routes, and then you start seeing like, damn, like that could have been me. You know, that could have been me in that casket. It could have been me right now doing time till 20, 30 something, you know. I could, you know, I could have been in, you know, deported somewhere in Tijuana, you know, like, you know, it sucks, you know, because I still talk to some of those friends, you know, that had to deal with that, you know, and you know, but I'm really thankful that, you know, I didn't go those routes and stuff like that, you know. So
if you don't mind, I want to spend just a couple of minutes on just speaking about that, because you're obviously Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're from Tijuana. That's where the family is, or?
Oh no, man. Well, I'm from LA and stuff, but my parents, they're from Mexico City.
Mexico City, that's a beautiful place, bro. People don't realize Mexico City is fucking beautiful, and the women, yo, holy cow. So I got my teeth done in Tijuana,
nice.
like last June, right? And bro, that was an amazing experience, bro. Walking down the street, you just see, you know, baddie Latina here, baddie Latina here, and I really want people to understand who have never been across the border, right? Like, we see a lot of stuff on the news that just is all doom and gloom. We see the narco terror, you know, all sorts of crazy shit. Have you been to Mexico?
It's been a minute, man, but you know, the last time I went, I was like maybe 11. You know what I mean? So
11.
Yeah. So it's been forever. You know, like my mom, she, you know, since I take care of her, she pretty much she goes whenever she wants and stuff. She goes like 2-3 times a year.
Gotcha.
You know, so, but yeah, I haven't had the chance just because, you know, I would be working a lot and sometimes I couldn't afford, you know what I mean? Like having 3 kids at the time, you know, and having to pay rent and stuff like that. It was kind of hard for me to just, you know, have money to travel. But, you know, I definitely want it to be more like a goal to go back, man. I feel like it's I have to do it, you know, sometime.
Mexico is beautiful. I plan on going back a lot, you know, not just to the vacation destinations. You know, I really enjoyed Tijuana. I'm not gonna lie to you. That shit was wild as hell. So
sounds like you went to Hong Kong.
No, man. He always be saying that, bro. I didn't go to no crazy places. I went and got my teeth done, and I got back on the plane. But I'd like a better experience because, you know, everybody down there, they were very welcoming. Yeah. I did see... I don't know if they were, you know, part of the cartel or whatever, but I did see some dudes in the back of a pickup truck that looked pretty, they was wild, you know, you saw some little guns and shit, but besides that, everybody was very welcoming, you know, everybody thinks that I speak Spanish for some reason, so that was a little awkward, but, right, see, you know, actually on one of our episodes that unfortunately will never come out, I was inducted into the honorary Latino Hall of Fame, which was fantastic. Let's go, yeah, which I'm rocking with that. But so you spoke a moment ago about deportation, right? So I'm sure you see everything on the news, right? And you're born here in America, so you're an American citizen. Yeah. How do you both feel about that? Like, does that affect you when you guys, you know, see that stuff on the news? Do you see what this current administration is doing? I mean, it
just sucks, you know, because sometimes, like you say, like, you know, you grow up with people that are like that, you know what I mean, that don't have the documentation to stay here. So, you know, seeing it on the news and the way people are getting treated like that, it's pretty fucked up, you know, like, you know, like I feel like there's a right way to do things, but what they're doing right now, I don't feel like it's humane, especially like when the parents are with the kids and they're snatching them and the kids are right there crying. It's like, damn, like it hits hard, you know, like just because like especially like me, I'm a dad, you know, so seeing families being ripped apart like that, it's very heartbreaking to me, man. Like it sucks, you know, like I wish there was a better way, you know, like if I kind of feel like if they're already here, then maybe, you know, hey, well, you know, here's a better way of, you know, let's do this process, you know, different, you know, instead of saying, oh, you don't belong here, you're not from here, so let me just take you away from your family and everything that you built for and send you back. And it's crazy because there's some people that don't have family back home, you know, like a lot of my homeboys, they're in Tijuana right now because that's closest to California, because they don't have family, you know, some they don't have family there. They're like, oh shit, like I have a couple homies that were brought to America when they were 3, 4, 5 years old, so it's kind of like they were born in the United States, but they weren't, you know. So if something would happen to them, they get sent back. Like, where are they gonna go? You know, like that's the thing a lot of people face too. Is like some of them, they don't know where to go because they lived out here pretty much all their life, so.
And I obviously love Latino women. I think that it's a big controversy right now. I want to give you another perspective and just get your opinion on it, right? So as a country, right, the government, America was designed to have a smaller government and have the states have a little bit more control, right? And so when you have programs that are like welfare, SNAP, EBT, different government programs, there's only so much money that there is without the United States taxing everybody else more money, which, obviously nobody, don't pay taxes, bro. That shit's wild. Granted, Americans will do it, but once the system gets overloaded, I mean, there's a scenario when, we're trillions of dollars in debt. There's only so much that a country can possibly do. And so why do you think, people who come here, and let's say they've been here from a child until, they're our age, right? Why do you think that at no point in time they decided, hey, I'm just going to apply for my citizenship or get a visa or go through like that sort of process to make sure that they never do get deported?
Well, from what I know, it's a very long process depending on the country you're from. My pops, he passed away, but during that time, he spent he moved here in the 80s, early 80s, so he spent a long time trying to fix his, documentations and stuff since the 90s, because I remember going with him to the offices, and then he finally got his citizenship in 2000. I think it was 2006, 2007. So imagine,
it was 27 years.
Yeah. So it took him a long time trying to do that process, so it just, like I said, it just depends on what country you're from. Some people could get it as quick as 6 months to a year, and then there's others that it's taking them 20 plus years, so I kind of feel like there's always going to be that outrage, because then people are like, well, I've been here 20 plus years trying to fix it, and then these other people from these other countries, they're coming in 6 months to a year, they're already, they already got their citizenship, and then it creates this
crazy tension.
Tension, you know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy, I kind of feel like people should be treated equally too, if people been here longer, they should be getting that help, but at the same time, it's it is what it is, some people flee their country because, there's turmoil and there's wars and shit like that, and I get it, but I don't know, it's just the government, they got to figure this shit out, man. That's why I'm not in politics. You know what I mean? So they got to figure it out, man, and come to a conclusion where it's humane too, most importantly, you know. I mean, I get it. If people done crimes back where they were at, or they're doing crimes here, then and something happens to them, then that's understandable. But when there's people that have a clean record, and they just, all they do is just work and feed their family, then I feel like it's unfair for them to
give them a little bit more leniency for the people that are doing right versus the people that are here and then committing crimes.
And there's also people that file their taxes too, and they're not, and they're not documented. You know what I mean? I've seen videos too. There's this guy who was giving out a speech for the news, and he pulls out a big old box of all his taxes. He was just throwing them onto the ground and stuff, and he's like, look, I've been in this country for all this year, and this is how they're treating us. Look, I've been paying all my taxes and things like that too. So it's damn, so that's what people got to see too, not just be one-sided. Like me, I like to assess the whole situation instead of being just one-sided thing. So there's always going to be good people, there's always going to be bad people, no matter the color, the race or whatever.
Yeah, and that's why I'm wondering why it seems like it's all coming to a boiling point now, because again, I mean, immigration has been something that everybody's known about for decades now. But it seems like right now is that hot button moment to where it's all coming to a head. So I agree with you, and we're very much in the middle. Consider ourselves independents. We can see both sides of the coin, because again, if America collapses, we all fucked, right? Then where are we gonna go? We're gonna go to China? I don't, what I'm saying? I can't do that, Oh God, fuck, even colder? No. But yeah, it's just, I just feel like there is an easier way to go about it, because something I feel like people don't really know a lot. Obama actually deported the most amount of people out of every president. right? But I just feel like it was more quiet and under the table versus now it's like loud as shit, like in your face on the news, which is heartbreaking to see exactly what you're talking about, you know?
Exactly.
But you know, some people feel as if, you know, the cartels, what they'll end up doing is not only are they making a massive profit smuggling people here, but then when people get onto American soil, they're also taking advantage of them. And then you also have situations like what we spoke about earlier where people are here and they're working for under minimum wage, not saying anything, and practically get treated like they're slaves, which that's not right either, right? And so it's a hard spot to be in. And I really appreciate your opinion on that because it's valuable. We had another person on the pod a while ago who she has a residency right now, so she's not fully a citizen, and she was talking about the same struggles you were mentioning. It takes so long, right? And so that's why we always just like to dive in deep on topics that, you know, we feel like people they need perspective on, or they want to hear how normal people think about the situations, right? And so with me being the only non-Latino on the couch, you know, I just got to ask both of you, how do you feel, man?
It's conflicted because at the same time, I wouldn't want to go to China and not see any Chinese people. You go to China and then you see a bunch of Mexican, black people. It's like,
Ni hao, osayo gozaimasu.
But America really is melting pot. You got a lot of different diversity out here. But like, there's certain countries like Mexico, all Mexicans. China, all Chinese. Like, you go to different places and you see those type of people. So at a certain point, you kind of start losing yourself if you have just a bunch of everything. And people aren't feeling an affinity to their country, or like, oh yeah, this is my place, like this is everybody's place, or it's like, oh, if I don't like it here, then I'll just go somewhere else. Or it's like, I don't know, it's like I want to go to a place and see that culture. I don't really know what the culture of America is at this point, because it's just a lot of everything. But I like it at the same time because you can meet some Asians, they teach you about their culture, show you how to use chopsticks. You meet some Polynesians, they teach you how to make like Hawaiian food and stuff like that.
This man loves food.
I love the food from different cultures and everything. I love seeing the mix, but I also love diving deep and immersing myself into different cultures. And it's hard to do that when they're so mixed in together. But I feel like America is one of those places where you can get a little bit of flavor from everything. Like you can go to one part of the city and get a little taste of this, different part of the city get a little taste of that. And then having a good melting pot is here is just finding the balance of like getting the right people, verifying that you're letting good people come in, not criminals. Because I saw like back in the Biden administration, they were showing a lot of videos on like Twitter, X now, where it's just showing a ridiculous amount of people from like Africa, China, like different, not even Mexico, but like different countries.
And they would come through Mexico.
I've seen that.
Which is like, that's a major problem.
And I think all that mass immigration from those different countries is what kind of set off the alarms. We're like, oh shit, like we need to do something. But the crazy thing is all that was already happening and they were doing it under the rug, just on the hush hush. So there wasn't a real big kind of like pandemic about it, riots and protests and things like that, because they were doing it, but they were kind of doing it on the hush hush. Now it's like in your face, like I'm trying to get you out of here. And I think that's what's causing more kind of conflict within people, because now it's like more in your face versus like discreet under the rugs where people aren't really talking about it or seeing it. Now it's like on the news every other day.
Well, I'd like to add on to that. I'm sorry, we're kind of going off track here, but this is the moment when people are like, they're glued to the screen, right? So I'd like to add on to that. So I think that the thing that sets people off the most is when people come to this country looking for a better opportunity and they don't assimilate into America, right? They're not proud to be an American, right? When there's protests and there could be flags of any other country that are getting waved, but a lot of Americans are looking at that saying, well, if you love that country so much, why did you come here, right? Or you have all this stuff that's going on, you know, with, I forgot what her name is. She's Somalian and she's a congresswoman, right? She's Ilan Omar, something like that, right?
Somalian.
Where like giving whole speeches, you know, talking about how we're basically going to get all of this done in America to make it more like Somalia, which, as we know, doesn't have a government. They don't have anything, you know what I'm saying? And it's so when people come here, get into our politics and start to make changes that affect, Americans, we're not proud to be American, which I very rarely see, any Latinos that I know or any other race do that. I'm mainly talking about people like he mentioned from Northern Africa. They hate America, but they're here, right? And I think that's like a super big catalyst point for most Americans because we're like, what the fuck? Like,
It's like they want Americans to change into their culture that they
are running from, right? And it's like, that ain't never going to happen. That ain't never going to happen, And I think we just had a National Guard, 2 National Guard members who were shot by, an Afghani who we brought here during when we closed down our operations in Afghanistan, who took the life of a National Guards member. And we brought him here. We did all the security checks, I guess apparently the Biden administration did, and he just walked up to him and just cold-blooded, just killed them both. Right? And it's horrible when you see that stuff on the news because, I think Mexico is one of America's closest trading partners. Yeah. And so, obviously, you can even argue that, the place that we're in now was Mexico before it was America. Right? And it's just, I just really hope we start to figure this shit out, because we all got to love each other, man. But at the same time, I think every country, needs to have borders. Because if we went over to Somalia or another one of those countries, we're not getting away with nothing over there. So I just think it's, it needs to be even,
Like one basketball player, what is it, Brittany Griner?
Brittany Griner.
Oh man, she went to Germany,
Russia,
and then she got caught with that
weed pen.
Yeah, and gave her almost like 8 years or something like that. They were trying to give her.
Yeah. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that to get Brittany Griner out of prison, do you know who we traded to the Russians?
I forgot who it was, but it was like a big terrorist.
Yeah, right? We made a movie on him. It's called The Lord of War, right? And it's freaking Nicolas Cage plays the main guy. This is an international arms dealer who has arguably caused more deaths than what happened during 9/11 because he would go to different countries and sell arms, and we captured him, right? And we traded Brittany Griner for an actual freaking, terror. It's just the trade was just like, it's wild. No shade to her, but come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, now that guy is probably causing so much more mayhem than, and it's necessary. But that was a great point you brought up, because ain't nobody trying to spend any time in a Russian gulag, but at the same time, like, don't bring drugs on a plane.
Yeah, when you go to another country, you got to know what type of laws they have. Like, you go to Dubai, there's very strict laws. You disobey one of their laws, you're in the gulag.
I think it's a more modest culture, because, again, a country is based off of morals and principles, and over there, definitely any drugs, it's over for you. Same way in China and other places, which honestly is a good thing. I mean, when drugs infiltrate a society, the society tends to start collapsing very, very quickly, right? Like,
I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah, right. But I mean, we say that, but at the same time, there's still people who are upset about America going after different cartels or different things that are happening in Venezuela. When it's like these drugs that are coming over are killing thousands and thousands of Americans every single day, and people are not outraged about that. I mean. God, there was this one guy. He got deported. And one of the senators actually went to what was it in Honduras? Do you know what I'm talking about? It was a prison that was down there. It was either in Honduras, Venezuela. It was one of those prisons. An American congressman flew down there and had an interview with this person, advocating for them to come back to our country when he was convicted of A, B, C, and D. Domestic violence, all sorts of stuff, on top of not having his papers. And I think Americans just kind of look at that and they're like, well, why aren't you guys looking out for us like that?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a massive issue. Do you have people, first of all, have you ever seen any immigration in Utah? Like, because you had mentioned the main clientele that you have is mostly like Latino. Do people talk about this sort of thing?
Honestly, like, not really. And I haven't seen any immigration out here. When I was, when I grew up in LA, when we used to go to like San Diego and stuff, we would see a lot of immigration there too. Like I would see one time there was a dad with his daughter. He was like kind of running away from like the immigration, and they ended up, grabbing him, and then they took him.
Oh shit! See, that's.
So you saw that firsthand, then?
Yeah, man.
Damn.
Yeah, he was literally like, I was here, and then he was like maybe down the block, like, and I saw that happen, and I was a kid too. I was maybe like 9-10 years old,
asking your dad, well, hey, what's going on over there?
Yeah,
That's probably very traumatic, and my heart goes out to all of those people, because every human being just wants a better life, and so I just I always try to be as even-minded as possible and just see things from both sides, because if we're able to house more people, I think we should, but I just think that the main issues that I told you about, where people are coming in from countries that do not like America, and they want to cause our country harm. Yeah. It's in our country's benefit not to have them, right? It's like a virus. You don't want a virus in your body, right? And it's tough stuff. But yeah, I mean, do you have any kind of last remarks?
You were mentioning that you had 3 kids. You mentioned your boy mainly. Do you have any girls too? Or?
Nah, they're all boys, and they're all born in December.
Nice. Birthday month.
I'm a little scared of like having girls, raising girls up. Yeah. Like, do you think there would be a different set of rules for your girls than your boys when it comes to dating and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think if I had girls, I'd be more overprotective. You know what I mean? Just because how we were growing up.
Oh God!
You know how guys are.
I don't even want to think about having a girl. I know.
Yeah, gray hairs overnight.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm bald already, so I ain't got to worry about that. But man, because you just had a baby girl, right?
Yep.
How are you feeling?
Happy and scared at the same time.
Yeah.
Being a parent is tough, and so you had your first at, you said 18. Mm-hmm. How close are all of your boys together?
So my oldest and my middle son, they're 2 years apart, and then my youngest, he's like 5-6 years apart from them. Yeah.
Okay. So, and are all of them here? Or 2 of them in California?
My 2 youngest are in California, and then my oldest, he's here with me. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Is that hard being away from the kids?
Oh yeah, man. Especially like when I've been with them their whole lives, and then for them to like move out, it's heartbreaking, because it's like the holidays pass and it's not the same. Things like that, birthdays, their birthdays are coming up in a couple weeks and stuff, and like for me, it's like I want to physically be there when all this happens, like it's not the same doing a video chat or texting or calling, it's like
I want to be able to hold
them. Yeah, be there with them and, wrestle with them or, mess around with them and, like just things like that, just being around them every day, like the house got really quiet, type of deal, like, cause my youngest, he has autistic tendencies, so he's very active. Just me being in the couch watching the game and hearing him running up the stairs and laughing and being on his tablet and things like that, or like just having that noise and that presence. It's like it's things that you don't want to take for granted, as a parent. Like even though things don't work out sometimes, like you just want to do your best to just be there for your kids, like there's people out there that can't have kids, you know what I mean? And there's people out there that don't care about their kids or things like that in that nature, that they're not present, like, it sucks, but yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, you seem like a good dad, and man, that made me a little emotional. You think about that. That's tough stuff. So, so being separated from the kids, right, and still wanting to be there for them. Yeah. How did it end up that 2 of them kind of left and 1 stayed? Was it kind of a choice? Did they come back and forth, or are they permanently in California?
Yeah, they're permanently over there with their mom. It was kind of a decision that their mom made. At first I thought she was gonna take all the boys, but she ended up making that. It was tough for her too, because, our oldest son was our first son, but to a mom, it hits her harder, because that's her firstborn, but she just told me like, yeah, you're gonna have to help me, especially because she went back to her grandma's, and her grandma's house is not big, what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of space, so she kind of felt like, if there was enough space, I'm pretty sure my oldest would have went with her, but since that was the situation, he stayed. But I mean, it's good for him too, because I'm pretty much teaching him to be independent. He has his own car. He drives. There's a point where I didn't even have a car, and he did. But I was happy that, he had a car, for him, so he could go to school and whatever, you know what I mean? So just kind of raising him more, and teaching him the ways of life. It's kind of cool, but it's also sad because I'm not able to do that for my youngest ones too. They're getting older. Like my middle son's, he was a football player for his high school last semester, and it sucks that I was only able to see him on pictures and videos instead of actually attending a game. So
I mean, the reason that I even bring all this up, right, is because as a man, especially when you want to be there for the kids, the laws that are in place, highly favor mothers. Was that kind of a difficult thing? I mean, for both of you guys, I guess, like navigating that very kind of thin line between like, I want to be there for my family, but also like the law is preventing me from doing certain things.
I just think it depends on the situation, because there could be some good fathers and there could be some bad moms too, and unfortunately that I feel like it's a little biased, because the mom could, she could try to say, oh, this and that, but at the end of the day, it's her and it's not the dad, you know what I mean? So like, thankfully with me and the mother of my children, we have a really good relationship too, despite our separation, like we talk, whenever we can and things like that. Like we keep it positive, but like for people that don't have that closeness, it sucks, because like you said, there's these laws in place, and it's true, sometimes it does favor the mom more, but it just depends on the situation, because like you said, like it could be the mom that's not the greatest mom, and the dad just wants to be there for them, I've had a friend on social media that I knew when I was growing up as a kid. I saw him. He was that kind of dude. Like, I would see him post, like, man, my baby mom was a POS and this and that,
Roasted.
Yeah, things like that. And he's like, I just want to, be with my kids and things like that. And I saw him, I would see him post pictures of him and his kids and, trying to be a good dad and stuff, So it's like, dang, it's like, it's unfair that they give the moms the upper hand. Like, they came out from the mom too, but it also takes the dad too to
I mean, I feel like to raise a well-rounded human being, you need a mom and you need a dad. Dad is authority, dad is motivation, that's who you look up to. Mom is comforting emotions and everything else, right? And so I grew up in a single mother household. Luckily, my mom is a super top G. She's just like you, a business owner. Just taught me a lot of those principles early on, but I made a promise to myself in that moment that when I do have kids, I'm gonna be there for my family, because I remember those, exactly what you're talking about, playing football, or for me, I was in the entertainment space, so I'd go do a movie or something, and I just want to speak to my dad. And the first time that I ever had a conversation with him, it was when I was 18, right? And I had just went viral on World Star, and then all of a sudden I get a call from Beverly Hills. And I answered, and it's my dad, and he's kind of acting as if like we've been knowing each other for the past 18 years, and I always give him the benefit of the doubt, because people they go through things, everybody's human, but I just made that promise to myself that I was going to be a good father. And so for him, I see him with his kids all the time, or his kid. I haven't met his daughter yet, but he's such a good representation of what a dad should be. For all the fathers that are maybe watching this who are struggling, or maybe they're finding out their girl's pregnant, I mean, what advice can you give on raising kids, especially as an entrepreneur?
It's not gonna be easy, and especially if it's like your first kid, you're gonna, it's a process. You're gonna learn, like you never thought, like once they're born, you gotta feed them every 4 hours, things like that. So there's gonna be long nights, taking turns, be there, trying to, help too, and that's the biggest advice, is just being present and trying to figure things out. And like, you're gonna lose a lot of sleep in the beginning, first 4 or 5 years, but then later on they end up being more self-dependent, once they start growing up, and things are a little bit more easier. Like right now for me in this stage, it's a lot easier now, you know, because my son now, he has money now, so, you know, if he's hungry, he'll go buy some. But I still check up on him. Did you eat today? Or you good? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. You got gas? You know, make sure he has what he needs too, you know, like, you know, because I don't know what he's spending his money on too, you know. But he likes to spend a lot of his money on his car too. Like, he takes a lot of pride in his car, and, you know, so that's what keeps him going. But yeah, like I said, once they're older, they're easier to take care of. But you still want to be present too, you know, because thankfully my son or all my kids, they're not how I was growing up, you know. And yeah, man. So
the streets of South Central LA.
Yeah, man. Exactly, you know. So that's one thing I'm really grateful, you know, like, you know, because that's the thing, like, you know, my brother-in-law used to always tell me, like, oh, you know, you're gonna pay for all the bad things that you've done with your kids. Like, your kids are gonna be basically doing bad shit, and you're gonna be you. And then we go and visit him a couple years ago, and then he's like, I talked to him about him, like, yeah, he's just chill, he's just on his computer playing games, or, you know, things like that. That was before, like, we started the business, you know. So it's like he just goes to school and things, and he's in shock, you know, because he's like, damn, like, you know, because he's the one who told me all this. I'm like, nah, he's cool, he's chill, he doesn't get into trouble. I mean, he's got in a few tickets because, you know, he would drive around with just his permit and things like that. But other than that, that's the most trouble he's ever got into. You know what I mean? So like I said, this is the reason why I moved out of there too, like out of LA too, because if we would have stayed, maybe he could have been influenced by his environment too. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's obviously amazing. And so, you know, it sounds like, you know, you've built yourself quite a foundation and you're on the right track to success. You know, I really appreciate the time that you've spent with us today. Yeah. What is kind of your closing message for people who, you know, they want to do what you do, man? They want to take that leap. They want to just fucking tell their boss, you know, how they really feel and go start life on their own.
Like I said, my advice is just not to give up, and, you know, and sometimes it's okay to take a step backwards, you know, when things get really tough. You know, like, it got tough for me. I had to, you know, had that tough conversation with my son saying, you know what, we got to pull the plug on this because I'm so behind on my bills, and, you know, and things like that, you know. And he understood, and, you know, but later on that opportunity with Liquid Joe's happened, and things are actually, I'm not saying that they're better than they were before, you know, when I was at the other places and selling on my house too, you know, like, so things got a lot better. So just, if you need to take a break, maybe sometimes you get behind on bills, then maybe you need to find a 9-to-5 again for a little bit and just get caught up and, you know, try to build that business up again, you know, like, don't just let it fade away, you know, like, just like I said, don't be afraid to take a step back, you know, because then you're going to dig yourself into a really big hole that you won't be able to get out. So, you know, especially when you're starting everything from the bottom, no financial help, or no, you don't have any capital or assets or anything like that. You know, it's I feel like it's 100 times harder, you know, versus having capital to be like, oh, I got $50,000 to buy a fucking food truck or something like that, you know. So just do that. Just don't give up. Always learn, you know, look for different ways to, you know, just educate yourself on the business that you're running. You know what I mean? Like, you know, always trying to find different ways, figure it out, and just keep going. Don't stop, you know.
I love that. I just want to add on a little bit to that. You know, I just feel like, you know, being in this society today, right, you know, falling is okay. Failing is okay. As long as you get back up and you keep moving forward. To add on to what you said, it's absolutely acceptable to have to take one step back to take a giant leap forward. That means that you realize where the business went wrong. You know, you assess your situation, you build capital, you plan. Because a big part of being a business owner is having the right plan set in motion, right? Yeah. Knowing all the obstacles, doing your education and your research, and, you know, there might be somebody watching this who's really on the fence, figuring out, hey, do I want to dive deep into this career? Do I want to go and take the information I've learned and go, you know, become a millionaire, or perhaps even a billionaire? And, you know, our advice to you is absolutely you should dive in deep on that. You should never let anybody persuade you, because the thing that you'll find the most is when you surround yourself with people who are not on your level, they're going to tell you can't do something because they've accepted that they can't, right?
Right.
And so if you're surrounding yourself with these sort of people who don't speak life into you, that's what you're going to get. You're a product of your environment, just like you had mentioned. Yeah. And so you truly have to elevate yourself, start hanging around people that you want to be like, and very quickly you'll learn that, it's a massive part of the process is just who's in your network.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You'd like to add on anything to that?
It's definitely about surrounding yourself around the right people, and then just staying consistent, even though you have some setbacks, even if you got to go do a 9-to-5 for a couple months so you can build up that capital. Continue on to your dream. Don't give up, and just stay laser focused on what you really want in life.
Exactly. All the friends you have now who are doing bad stuff, all the partying, all the nightlife stuff. I mean, all of that needs to take a step sideways so that you can accomplish your goals, so that way one day you can be a business owner as well. Listen, everybody, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you guys watching this episode. This is a major milestone for us. We made it to episode number 10. Yeah. And thank you for watching the Call ATM podcast. We out.